So recently, I saw one of publication on LinkedIn,
Mm,
and I stayed speechless
mm,
because you mentioned that your mom gave up the custody of you and your sister,
mhm.
and she removed her name to your birth certificate.
Yeah, when I was younger, my parents were married, and then my parents got a divorce, and then my mom decided to give us up to my dad. And then she took her name off of our birth certificate, and she decided to move on with her life, and she had a whole nother life and kids, and she she was gone.
Welcome to Neema Podcast. I made this podcast for you to learn, to be motivated, and to be inspired. We will be talking with people who face challenges, and today we have our special guest, Ashlee Braxton. Welcome, Ashlee.
Thank you so much for having
Oh, you
me.
have the Braxton name. Are
I
you
do.
related to this celebrity
I am
family,
actually, yes.
like Toni Braxton, Tamara Braxton, Tracy Braxton? Are they your relatives?
Yes, those are my
Oh.
aunts. They are, yes.
How are you related to them?
So my dad is their brother, and so they are my aunts.
Oh, that's so cool.
Mm,
So you have been born in US?
yes.
And how have you ended up in Barcelona?
Wow. I've been traveling the world and I moved from the US to Paris and
Hmm.
then from Paris to Barcelona.
Why you choose Barcelona?
I was chasing the sun and the
Oh
sea.
yeah, and it's close to the beach, and then
Yes.
you have the mountain close
Yeah.
by. But you like, do you like it?
I love it here. I'm so grateful for Europe. I love my country and where I'm from, but I also have this love for Europe and it's just opened its arms to me and I
Hmm.
did the same to it. And so I feel like we have this special relationship. Europe and I, we're in a relationship.
Oh, that's so cool. Are you planning to stay in Barcelona, or you want to change the country in 1 to 5 years and 10 years? Or
I don't know. I tend to kind of move with life, I like to say. So for the moment, I think Barcelona is a beautiful city and I think Spain is an amazing country and I think where we are located in Europe, you kind of have the best of all the worlds as you were saying before. There's the sea, there's mountains, there's everything there. So I don't see a reason to leave, but at the same time, I do love to explore. I'm thinking Japan, maybe the
oh,
Middle East. I'm not sure. Yeah.
ooh, it's so amazing.
Yes.
So who are you? Who's Ashlee Braxton? Are
I'm
you a
just a
singer? Are
girl.
you an engineer? Are you
Yes, I'm many things. I wear many hats. I always like to say it depends on the day. That's who I am. But I am an events manager. I also am a singer. I'm an actress. I'm an MC. I'm a
Mm-hmm.
speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do a lot in hospitality. I do a lot of in events. I'm on the stage all the time. I feel like that's where I'm most comfortable on stage and then behind the scenes.
Oh, that's so cool.
Mm.
What do you do in your free time?
My free time. I'm a nerd. I love to read. I love to do
Oh,
yoga. I love to write.
yeah.
Yeah.
And who inspires you
My
the
gosh.
most?
I feel like my biggest inspiration would have to be Lady O. I love Oprah.
Oh, from
I do. I
Winfrey.
do.
Oh, me
I love
too.
her.
Why do you like her?
I love Oprah. I just feel like we come from the same background and I feel like we have the same values of life and how we see life. Um I think Oprah is somebody who makes you want to look at yourself and challenge yourself to be better.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you're out of the world, then you can kind of challenge other people to be
Mm-hmm.
better as well. And so I just love how she's just come from where I've come from and how global she is and well recognized and known and the respect that she has. I don't know. It's very commendable.
So you've been in Barcelona for almost 5 years.
Mhm.
Do you go for vacation, the US, or
I don't. I haven't gone back to the States very often. The last time I went to the States, it wasn't for a fun reason, so I don't really go back home, but I do travel the world. In fact, I'm going to Milan in like 2
uh,
days. Yeah.
I saw you at American Cups. What
Yes.
were you doing
Oh my
there?
gosh, I was the MC
Are
for
you sure?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah, it was
congratulations. I'm
so
so
much
proud of
fun.
you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
you met a lot of people
I
there.
did. I loved
Yeah.
my job. I learned something new every day. I had no idea about sailing jumping into this. And I stayed after, came early, learned about sailing, met the most incredible people, the American team. Shout out to you guys. American Magic. I'm I'm speechless. I'm so grateful for that.
Was it so intense?
It's very intense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. I didn't understand sailing, so I had no idea the depth that had gone into it, but I love it and I appreciate it because you see an actual like long-term goal like being played out right in front of your eyes. So it's very interesting to see all these people who, started and they built this boat from scratch from the US, but then the team is made up of people from around the world and they all flew here to Barcelona. They brought their kids, they brought their families. Everyone's here to win. And the incredible thing about the America's Cup is like either you win or that's it. So if you
Mm-hmm.
didn't win, you lost.
You're a public speaker, you are
Mhm.
MC, you are the VIP event manager,
Yes.
and you're a black woman. What are
Yes.
the challenges that you face being in the industry? Because I'm into the industry as well,
Yeah,
and this is some challenges that you might face.
there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which one can you tell us today?
Gosh. Sometimes I have to say that I think because of my aunt and how I grew up, there's a lot of times where I have an ignorance to it where I
Mm-hmm.
just feel like I belong on the stage too. So sometimes when I can feel that challenge of, like, what are you doing here? Or we prefer you to look like this, or there, there's just these nuances that, and they're quite subtle. That's the other thing is like, how sometimes can you express to people what those subtle things are, but we know what they are, right? We see it, we feel it, we hear it. It's there, but at the same time, no, I belong on the stage. So there's that double nuance where I see it and I feel it, but then I'm like, no, 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 but I have to be on the stage. We have to let the other women and the generation underneath us understand that no, we belong here too.
Yeah, this industry is very competitive.
Mm.
Do you use Braxton name to find more opportunities?
Yes and no.
Mm-hmm.
I think before I did, currently, no, no.
Oh, that's so cool.
Mm.
So we met at Mobile World Congress
We
this year.
did.
Oh my gosh, I like your energy.
Thank you. You
Oh,
too. We
oh
connected
yeah, we connect
instantly. Yeah, it
easier.
was just so
You were
easy.
taking a picture and then I jump into you and we start talking like we knew each other for
We
longer.
did.
Oh
We
yeah, and
did.
then after that we connected on
We
LinkedIn.
did.
So recently I saw one of your publication on LinkedIn
Mm,
and I stayed speechless
mm,
because you mentioned that your mom gave up the custody of you and your sister
mhm,
and she removed her name to your birth certificate.
mhm.
What was it? What happened?
Yeah, when I was younger, my parents were married and then my parents got a divorce and then my mom decided to give us up to my dad. And then she took her name off of our birth certificate and she decided to move on with her life and she had a whole nother life and kids and she she was gone.
So they divorced.
Mhm.
Your mom and your dad were married
Mhm.
and then they divorced.
Mhm.
When they divorced, she removed her name to your birth certificate.
Yep.
And then your dad
Remarried.
to another woman.
Mhm.
And then what was your relationship with that woman?
It was not very good. My parents were very abusive to each other, and my stepmom was also very abusive to my sister and I as well. Yeah.
Oh. And sometimes you had some physical violences?
Yeah, physical, mental, emotional, all of it. But from those two was physical. Well, I mean, it was all the abuse. And then she decided, to be that way with my sister and I. But then there were moments as well where my dad was also physically abusive as well.
Oh, how old were you that time? 6?
I if I'm not mistaken, I think my dad remarried when I was 7, maybe
Mm-hmm.
8. I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember the exact day, but that's kind of the only memories that I really have of my parents.
And what was the reaction of your aunties when your mom removed her name to your birth certificate because they're so famous and they were
Mm,
supposed to protect the brand name of the
mhm.
family? Uh, if you had someone who want to adopt you or one who invited to stay to their houses, what happened with them, with your aunties?
No, my stepmom decided to put her name on our birth certificate. So she was kind of the person that stepped in and she did step in and play a role. Like I'm not going to discredit everything that she has done. But I just knew very on from a young age that what was happening in my house was just not okay. The dynamic was not right. I always would seek out help. I mean, would talk to counselors. I went to church, so I would speak to people at church, and I acted out also because I just knew that this life that I was living, it was like, why is this happening to me, to us?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And how about your sister? She
Yeah,
faced the same as well, physical,
yeah,
mental,
she
and
did.
emotional abuses.
Mhm.
How she overcome it, your sister?
She got into drugs and
Oh,
she passed away,
oh,
unfortunately. Yeah.
really? She was sick?
Mm. No, well, I, we could say that she was sick in the mind
Mm-hmm.
because whenever anyone goes through any sort of abuse, you do become sick. But no, she overdosed.
Oh,
Hmm.
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
So you were like only two, you and your sister.
No, and then I have two half brothers as
You have
well.
a half brother
Two.
from your stepmother.
Yes, for my
Are you in
stepmother
a
and my
good
dad.
relationship with your
With one of them
stepbrothers?
I am, which is very fun.
Yeah.
I saw him for the first time in a long time. He came to Barcelona just a few months ago, and it was a lot, you know what I mean? At the same time it was intense, but I was very happy to see him, and I was just happy that he could see me as well and get a lot of answers because he had a lot of questions. But also I just wanted him to know that I left at such an early age. For him, that was a question for me that he had for me. He's like, "Why did you leave?" And I was just like, "I had to survive."
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate that I couldn't take everyone with me, but I was the oldest, and so I just had to survive.
Oh, and what is your relationship now with your mom? Are you in a good relationship? Have you forgiven?
I have done an extensive amount of therapy to forgive her.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we don't we don't speak now. I reached out to her when my sister passed away and I asked her if she was coming to the funeral and she did not attend, and she also just
Oh,
wrote me a note and she said that, she's sorry for the things that had happened, but at the same time, I need to move on with my life and she's trying to move on with hers and you know,
I'm wondering why she reacted like this when you're so young, innocent, and could remove her name to your birth
hmm.
certificate. This is so strange. Is there any reason, something you thought about?
I wondered if from seeing how my dad was abusive to my stepmom, I was wondering if that was the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was a point in my life after so much therapy that I realized that I'm chasing a question
Mm-hmm.
that people have answers to, but
Yeah.
it's their choice to give me the answer. And if they don't want to give me the answer, then I have to be okay with that. And so I don't know why, but at the same time, she's forgiven. I think that whatever the reason was, it was because she was unhappy. So I hope that in that choice that she found her happiness and
Mm-hmm.
that she is okay and that she's good. I mean, I don't wish harm on anybody, but if that's the choice that you needed to make to be good, sure, it's upsetting, sure it hurts. But then at the same time, now that I'm older, I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Do you have a good relationship with your stepbrother from your mother? She has.
From my mom's side. No,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know them at all actually. And it was only when my
Really?
sister passed that they knew that we existed. So they
Are you
decided to
sure?
live, yeah, they decided to live as if we didn't exist.
Oh my
Hmm.
goodness. But have you met your mom after, like physically talking to
No,
her?
no,
Never.
never. Well, no, after she left. No, I've never seen her.
Ashley,
Yeah.
because we into the word, you can easily identify someone's places
Mm-hmm.
where she's working their office and just go to knock their office.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, ma'am, I'm here. I just want to see you, how you look like. You have never had this courage to do that?
I wouldn't even say it's the courage. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's just when you realize that someone doesn't want you or
Yeah.
doesn't want a relationship with you, it feels weird. I think when I was younger, definitely. I was searching, looking. I remember my sister and I would message and be like, "Oh, I think this is her," and like screenshot a photo and send it to each other and be like, "This is their Facebook, this is that." But currently, in the current moment, hey, mom, you know what I mean? I hope you're happy with who I am and who I've become. I'm not, I don't know. I don't feel it. Mm,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what's the relationship with your stepmother now?
I don't have a relationship with her at all, and I don't really have one with my dad either.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is so impressive.
Mm.
So I met some women who passed through this kind of situation,
Mhm.
physical abuse during their childhood, and it's so hard for them to live in a relationship with someone because
Mhm.
they don't trust that person and they don't trust themselves as well.
Mhm.
Uh, what have you done? What are you doing for the healing?
Mm.
So what are you doing? Are you working on it? Are you going to the therapist? Or what are you
Yeah.
doing?
I go to therapy. I like to say that it's a forever process,
Mm-hmm.
because in every different stage of your life, it's going to affect you differently. But I'm an avid therapy goer. I go to therapy currently with my partner right now. We're in couples therapy. And I don't like to use the word therapy as if there's something wrong with you. I like to use the word therapy because I want people to know that you actually deserve good things. Because for so long, maybe you've been taught that you don't, or you've just found ways to survive, and survival mode is awesome because you get through it, right? But then at the same time, you don't need to survive anymore. Like I'm past that phase. I don't need to survive. Now I need to enjoy life and live. But if you don't have the tools to do that, then you're never going to do it. So I always like to say that therapy is just a way to free yourself so that you can live. You can be happy because you deserve it.
This past experience doesn't affect you thinking about not having kids, for example, and maybe I might be like my mom,
Mhm.
and then it doesn't affect you
Oh
at
my gosh,
all.
1000%. Like to this day, it was just this year that I was like, maybe kids. But for the longest time, I never wanted kids. And if I did want a kid, I would just want to adopt. Because I didn't, I just, how do I explain it? When I think of a family dynamic, I find that your parents maybe have given birth to you and that they can give you their values,
Mhm.
but you are your own person at the end of the day. And what I've learned in therapy is like you can't blame your parents for things. At some point, you have to take responsibility for yourself. So I would just love to be with a kid and help them go through life. Does that make sense? And not
Mhm.
necessarily, I don't want to own a kid. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to own a human. I'm just, maybe I gave birth to you or something like that, but I don't own you. But I would love to be that support system to somebody.
So you were living with your parent, your
Mhm.
dad and stepmother,
Mhm.
facing emotional abuses,
Mhm.
physical abuses,
Mhm.
yeah, all type of abuses.
Mhm.
So and then after you left your dad's house, what
Mhm.
happened? You went to the street, or
No.
you call a your social, how do you call it in US? Someone, a social person from the government. How do you call them?
No, I actually went to work with my aunt. So I was
Oh
very,
wow,
yeah, I was
who?
very
Toni
lucky.
Braxton.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
she's my favorite.
She's awesome.
Yeah, I really like her
Mm.
song, Break My Heart.
That's it.
So yeah. So you start working with your
Yeah, I
auntie.
started working. I was very, very lucky that I was able to jump into the music industry and learn all facets of the industry. So, on stage, singing backgrounds with her, behind the scenes. So, helping in terms of management, going to all the events, red carpet. But she was
Wow.
also so talented as well. So,
She is.
she was doing Broadway, so I got to experience what that was. I got to experience what it was to create an album. She wrote a book. I mean, she did so many things.
Hmm.
Mm.
So, but after experiencing these abuses for many times,
Mhm.
what was the click that told you, hey, it's time to leave the house or to go out?
I just knew that if I didn't leave, I wasn't going to like, I guess you could say when I was younger, I was quite suicidal. I didn't really
Oh, really?
find, yeah, I didn't really want to live. I mean, either I ran away or I was just going to take my life because it wasn't a fun place to be.
Mm-hmm.
It was not.
And this didn't affect your studies, like as your primary school, your secondary school?
It affected my school, but then at the same time, school was an escape. So it
Mm-hmm.
was also like a fun place to be. But I did quite well in school,
Mm-hmm.
thankfully.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
Trauma
Yeah.
is not something easy to heal.
Mm.
So you went through therapy, and then have you had any mentor or reading some books?
Definitely.
Which
I've,
one can you
oh
recommend to
gosh.
people?
So many books. Where do I begin? Goodness. Everyone has their own different techniques. And that's the beauty of therapy, is that you have to find what works for you. I always say go to like 5 different therapists before you find the one that works for you. And I hate when there's such a stereotype about therapy that it's this bad space or bad place. And yeah, it is expensive sometimes if you think
Mm-hmm.
about it. But I think it's changing. The world is changing as well. We're seeing mental health very different. And there's a lot of resources and things. So there's so many books, there's so many podcasts. There's also just getting out a journal and writing. It's so therapeutic. It's very
Oh,
helpful.
really? So
Mm.
cool. A mental issue is a taboo. It's still a taboo,
Mhm.
especially in Europe. If when you
Mhm.
go to Africa, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm from Congo, and
Mhm.
it's like we can talk about this.
Mm.
And when you have to mention about therapists, it's like it's really impossible to go
Yeah.
to therapist. What are you doing there? Are you crazy?
Mm.
So, what can you tell to that woman who had like devastating experience into childhood or who's passing through
Mm.
life challenges? What can be the advices to encourage that woman?
Mm. Crazy thing about the mental health and all of those things is like 9 times out of 10 we didn't ask for it to happen to us. I didn't wake up and was like, give me mental and physical emotional abuse, I'll take it. No, like we don't ask for it. It's something that happened to you and you learn to survive through it. So understand that the therapy is going to give you the tools that you need to live a fulfilling life. So go and get that life fulfilled. Go learn about yourself so that you can then have a healthy relationship, not only with your partner, but with your family, with your kids. Like, don't feel bad about what happened to you. That's, if that's one big advice, that's what it would be. Do not feel bad about what happened to you, but know that you do have the power to overcome it and to be better so that you can then pass on the tools to somebody else.
Hmm. So you are from the Braxton family, the
Mm.
well-known family.
Mm.
And then when you're talking about this reality that you had during your childhood, don't you think that it will affect the brand name of the Braxton? Or, mm, I mean, I'm trying to see how
Yeah,
would you maintain the brand
of
at the same
course.
time speaking about this reality that is
Mm.
happening, other people are passing through that.
Mm.
So, I mean, what's your thought about this?
Yeah, it's very weird. I never want my family to think that I'm speaking out against them or that I'm speaking bad upon them. Like it's not personal. But in order for me to live, I have to acknowledge my life. And
Hmm.
that was my life. And it's unfortunate that that's what happened, but guys, this is what happened, So I have to also stand in my own truth of my own self. And I battled with that for a long time. How do I speak about who I am, but also not hurt other people in the process of it? But I've found a good balance with it now. It's not about me, it's more so for somebody to hear what I'm saying, to realize that there is a way out of it, and for them to find the tools to get themselves a better life. That's
Hmm.
what's most important to me.
Oh, what
Mm.
was the last time you called Toni Braxton or Tamar?
Um, I I've spoken to Tony. Tony and I are more close.
Oh, that's so
Yeah.
cool.
Mm.
So, going back to your past experience, have you had this feeling of unwanted?
Yeah.
And you talked earlier that you had like suicidal
Mhm.
thought, and then have you blamed God that time?
Uh, I blamed everybody. Nothing, because nothing made sense. But then again, I had this will, I guess you could say, that was inside of me that was like, girl, we're going to survive. But yeah, I've had the feeling of being unwanted my entire life. Nothing made any sense. It was just, why why am I here if my mom doesn't want me, my dad, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, what is this? Church was really hard because
Mm-hmm.
you're in there praying to God to give you some sort of miracle, right? And you're talking about the miracles, right? Like Noah's Ark. And I'm like, where is it?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to come
Yeah.
save me?
Yeah.
So that was a very interesting way of life. My family is quite religious as well in that aspect too. So it was weird. That's what I can say. It was weird, but I found my way out of it. But yeah, it was weird.
Wow. And then moving out from your parents,
Mhm.
starting a tour with your aunties,
Mhm.
and then how you arrived to Europe.
Oh, Um, I was very lucky that my aunt had taken me around the world with her, so I had a
Mm-hmm.
chance to see the world. So
Oh,
once I had a
wow.
chance to see the world, then I decided like I want to go explore more.
Mm-hmm.
I was very appreciative of what I was experiencing, but at the same time I also knew that that was a part of me, but it's not all of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have any ties. Like I felt unwanted. So it never felt like, oh, I have to be here to be with my family or be a part of it. No, I just felt like, well, I don't know, just go see the world, girl.
Oh, that's so
Mm.
cool. And then you, like, from moving alone from the US,
Mhm.
you went to Paris, to
Mhm.
France. And then from France, you came to Barcelona.
Mhm.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And why Barcelona? Why just
I
Barcelona?
was chasing the sun. It was so
Okay.
beautiful. Yeah, I would come to Barcelona from Paris. Paris, by the way, was awesome. Vive la France. Like
Yeah.
I love France.
Mm-hmm.
It really taught me a lot. It gave me a lot of values and culture. Um, and then I just wanted to feel the sun a little bit more. It's like there's always that moment, like that depressing moment when it's cold and it's dark, and it's just like, ah, go chase the sun.
Oh, that's so
Mhm.
cool. Thank you so much, Ashley. And we're at the end of this episode. And thank you so much for watching.